If you're an adult who's lost touch with your creative spark, then this video is for you. Right off the bat, I want you to know that this is a very normal problem. It's so common for us to lose touch with that energy as we take on more responsibilities, as life gets more complicated. But through a couple of intentional decisions, we can return to that energy and feel excited about making things again. You can return to the energy that you had when you were a teenager around being excited about art and wanting to make things. We can return to it. And one of the main ways to get there, one of the best ways to get there quickly, is to try to make some ugly art. In the link in the description, there's an ugly art challenge that you should try out because it will break you out of your frame. One of the traps that a lot of us fall into is that we start to build a very rigid sense of what our creativity should look like. We build a framework around what our creativity is, and then we don't update it as our life changes because we built it when we were younger. We have a very specific sense of what we're into, what we like, and then we get older, we stop making stuff. But when we try to return to our art, every time we try to make something again, we try to return to that same framework instead of seeing ourselves as new. You want to approach yourself as a mystery. You want to approach your own creativity with more curiosity and let go of some of the old frameworks to return to that love. A big reason why making art is so exciting when you're younger is because you haven't built up a sense of what you should be doing. There's no should. It's always, ooh, what about? Why not this? Why not try this? But as you get older, you get a little bit more rigid. You're like, I should be doing this because this teacher taught me that I should focus only on this thing. So I'm going to focus on that because that will help me improve faster. Even though when I try to focus on that, it isn't energizing me anymore. But I'm going to keep going down that path and keep banging my head against the wall because I think it's what I should be doing. Let go of all the frameworks. Just stop assuming that you know your own creativity and approach it anew. Try the challenge below and just see what happens in 10 minutes. I discover so much about myself every time I do this, and it's also helped a ton of my clients. The second strategy that can help you return to your creative spark is not consuming any more tutorials. I know that sounds counterintuitive because you think that more knowledge will help you, that it'll give you more clarity, but all that will do is put more weight on your shoulders. You're very likely to end up in analysis paralysis if you're consuming a lot of content from different teachers because they're teaching different methods. And as you're trying to make decisions for yourself, those things might conflict in ways. Even though if you just focus on one method, you would make progress. Because you're consuming so much different information, such a diversity of information, it becomes very difficult to actually make any decisions because you're mapping out all the potential possibilities instead of focusing on what actually matters to you, what actually comes out naturally for you. And that makes it very difficult to be in connection with your creative energy. This is something I noticed with one of my recent clients who has a breadth of knowledge of like how to draw all these beautiful things, all these different methodologies. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful to see someone have so much curiosity about creativity and making art. But that knowledge was a weight on their shoulder. It was very difficult for them to make progress on any one direction because they were sitting in the analysis paralysis of like, well, which one should I be doing? When they go this way, they feel bad about not going that way. So take a break from tutorials for a moment and really pay attention to how you feel about your craft and what happens more naturally. Get rid of some of those shoulds, right? Like just like put those aside for a moment, to see what happens more naturally. You can obviously return to these frameworks and these different techniques once you feel a little bit more energized, but don't rely on tutorials to help you find what you love in art, because they just can't. Making art is such a personal experience. Your creative spark is so personal to you that it's very unlikely that someone's going to point to a specific technique that will get you there. What's way more likely is that you're going to have to sit with yourself, sit with what comes out naturally, pay attention to what feels good for you, explore that feeling, and then add technique to that joy later on. I'm not saying to reject techniques completely. I'm saying that if you are going technique first, you might be missing out on the thing that actually matters the most, and that is the joy, the personal connection. That's the thing that matters. There's so many artists out in the world who don't focus on technical ability at all. They just focus on what they love, and they develop technical skill because of the love of it. Because they're so curious, they just start to develop the skills, not because they're actively just like focused on technical skill, but because they're focused on the love and the almost the addictive quality of like doing something that feels connecting to you deep in your soul. And then you just make more and more beautiful art. And that's how you create a unique personal art style that is a reflection of who you are rather than just a mishmash of every other artist that you've consumed. The third strategy that can help you reconnect to your creative spark is confronting your expectations. This is one of my favorite things to do with clients is make them sit down and write out the expectations that they have about their craft. The reason why consuming so many tutorials can be difficult is because you're building up these expectations of what should be happening. And having those expectations can get in the way of experiencing the art in the present moment. You will be more and more distracted by your expectations instead of being present with what feels good. So what you want to do is sit down and actually write out what your expectations are and confront them. Start asking yourself questions about, why do I have these expectations of myself? And this has to happen on paper or in conversation. Don't just do it in your head, because that just doesn't work. Like, you're not going to be able to really see yourself objectively in that context. So sit down, write it out. This is what I help a lot of clients do in my Joyful Creative Coaching program that's linked below. We go through your expectations, your inner critic, and try to resolve some of these issues so that we can return to our creative spark. Making art is your human right, and I want you to return to it. Even if you're an adult who's very busy, you might have a packed schedule, and thinking about creativity isn't really the thing that you think you have space for, but do it because it will improve your life. As I reconnected with my creative spark, got over my perfectionism, I fell so much more deeply in love with life. Life feels so much more fulfilling now than it ever did before because I'm prioritizing my creative energy. My creative spark is the highest priority in my life because I recognize that everything else is better downstream from it. So even if you only have an hour a week, 30 minutes a week to make art, prioritize it because it's an important part of who you are. That is why you watched this far into the video. You wouldn't have come across my video and watched it unless there was a part of you that feels that desire, that recognizes the importance of it. So do whatever it takes. And if you want my help, check out the link below. I would love to meet you on our first call. The fourth strategy that can help you reconnect with your creative spark is trying a new medium, especially if you think you'll be bad at it. Instead of picking a medium that you think you'll be good at it because you've done something adjacent to it, pick a medium where you assume you'll be horrible at it and try your best at it. And that will create an opportunity for you to see yourself differently and to reconnect with the fun that you had when you were younger. If you just allow room to be bad at something, there's so much more freedom in it. A lot of times we get trapped in the idea that we need to make beautiful things, that we need to make great art because we're a creative person. Oh, I just have to make good art. Which is why if you decide to be a beginner at something, if you decide to go adjacent and be like, okay, I'm going to be a beginner here, I have no idea what this is going to look like. I'm used to drawing, but I'm going to try knitting, for example. Or I'm good at knitting, so I'm going to try playing music. If you just go to somewhere where you assume you'll be bad, it'll create so much opportunity for you to see yourself differently and for you to connect with the curiosity that's within you. Creativity can show up in so many different ways. A lot of times we build a rigid sense of what we should be doing. Okay, I'm a person who draws, so I'm only going to stick to drawing because I've been reinforced that that is something that I'm good at, which can be great if you're continuing to make stuff. If you're making tons of art, sure. But if you lost touch with your creative spark, if you're just not making as much stuff, then assume that that strategy isn't working for you anymore, at least not in this moment. So let's try a new strategy. Let's just try something new. Let's assume that we don't know. Let's put aside our pride and arrogance and just decide that we don't know ourselves that well. Clearly, we think that we should be doing something. It's not working for us. Let's just try something new. Let's just go completely wild with it. Come up with a list of things, mediums that you might try that you thought that you would never touch, and go try them. Just in bite-sized chunks, right? And just go explore. That exploration can make it so much easier for you to get back to why you like art to begin with. If you're a creative person, it can show up in so many different ways. Do not limit yourself to the things that you've done in the past. Don't limit yourself to the things that you did in high school. Give yourself the opportunity to discover something new. Strategy number 5 that can get you back to that yummy, yummy creative energy is to make a real commitment and take a class. This is one of my favorite strategies. Anytime I feel like my art is falling apart and I'm not making as much stuff, I'll go online, find a class, pay for it, and as soon as there's money behind it, I'm going to put in so much more effort. It's so funny to me how many times I've hired a mentor or a coach, and as soon as I start paying for it, I'm making so much more art, I'm so much more committed just because I'm so scared of wasting money. So that energizes me. And this is especially helpful if you do it with a friend. If you have friends who are creative or friends who are maybe good at something, go take a class with them. Let's say, for example, you have a friend who takes dance classes every week. Ask them like, hey, I would like to try this. I'm going to be bad at it, but it would be fun with you. And like doing things with people who you enjoy, in company with people that you enjoy, it's so much easier to like reconnect with that playful side of yourself. One thing that I find so useful is just making art with other people. Being around people can be so energizing. Now, I know for some people, art is like a private thing they only want to do for yourself. That's completely fine. But if you lost touch with your creative spark, it might be helpful to try a pottery class with a friend. Try a medium that you're not supposed to be good at, like something that you're a beginner at, and go with a friend to a class, pay for it, make a commitment, because there's never going to be a perfect time. I know a lot of us tend to just wait around. We're waiting around for the perfect time. Oh, well, I don't have time for this right now. I'll make time for it when this happens. When my income is higher, when the kids are a little bit older. You'll keep telling yourself that, but there's always going to be new things. There's always going to be more chaos in life. Things will never be perfect, which is why you want to make a real commitment now, put in the effort, make time for it so that you learn that skill. There's a huge opportunity here for you to learn the skill of making things, being a creative person, even when life is chaotic, because that is actually when art feels the most helpful. Reconnecting with yourself when life is a chaos and there's so much responsibility on your shoulder will help you stay in touch with the thing that matters to you, helps you feel alive. And that makes everything else easier. It's so much easier to show up for your family and your friends when you know who you are. When you're connected with this deeper part of yourself, it's easier to show up for other people. I know I'm a way better friend and partner when I make art. If there's been a week where I haven't made anything that feels personal, something that doesn't connect with my deeper self, I'm a way worse person to be around because I'm just a little bit more grumpy. It's not so obvious, like it's not like I'm like hangry or something like that, but it's just 1% off, but it's enough for me not to show up in a way that makes me proud of who I am, because I want to show up for my friends. But it's hard to do that if I don't feel full within myself. So make sure to fill your own cup, even if it's only 5 minutes a week. Even if it's like almost like minuscule amounts of time, just reconnect to that energy because it'll make such a big difference. And making a commitment, taking a community class, going somewhere outside of the house for a class, or maybe an online class, that makes a huge difference. Put in the commitment now. Honor your creative self because it'll make such a big difference in your life. Strategy number 6 that can help you get back to your creative self is to hold your creative identity lightly. This is something that I alluded to earlier, but sometimes we hold on to our identity as a creative person so tightly that it's hard to explore. It's hard to be curious about yourself if you think that this thing, this part of yourself, is this rigid persona. If you're holding on to it so tightly that you're scared of it falling apart because you think you'll fall apart if that identity gets challenged, then you're not going to be curious, you're not going to be willing to explore, which is a requirement for creativity. Being a creative person is all about uncertainty and risk. That is what a creative person is. A creative person is someone who's willing to explore, is someone who is willing to try new things, even if it's within a specific domain. Some artists pick a medium, get really good at that medium, but they explore the corners of that. They explore the corners of their soul within that. But they're still exploring. There's still a lot of uncertainty. And if you get to a place where you're afraid of uncertainty, where you're not willing to take risk, where you're so critical of yourself that you're not willing to adjust and change, then it's almost impossible to stay creative. So we want to hold that identity a little bit more lightly, because that creativity is never going to leave. You do not need to hold on to it tightly. There's a specific sensitivity within you that's always going to be there, even if you try to get rid of it. Even if there's literally nothing you can do to get rid of it. And it's a superpower, but you have to acknowledge that it's a superpower and hold it lightly because you want it to just flow naturally. And for things to flow naturally, you can't build a dam around it, right? You let that river just flow. And it might go into crooks that you don't like. Maybe it'll go on a path that you intellectually don't want to, but let it flow because you don't know what you're holding yourself back from. And that is the only way to be fully creative. The 7th strategy that can help you get back to your creative energy is to stop black or white thinking. One of the most common problems that I see in my students in over 10 years of teaching creatives is that a lot of people think in black or white terms when it comes to their art. They'll say things like, oh, I'm bad at this, or my art is ugly. It's just 100% bad. There's nothing beautiful about it. What you want to be able to do is acknowledge some of the gray in the middle. You want to be able to look at your art and be like, hey, here are areas that I want to improve. Yes, maybe it's a little bit ugly. Maybe that face that I drew is a little bit off, or that part of the song I played it wrong. But here's a couple of beautiful things. Here are a couple of ways that I'm actually making something that is meaningful, that is beautiful. And the more you learn this skill, the easier it is for your creativity to flow naturally, because it starts to trust that you will not judge it so heavily. A lot of times we do black or white thinking as a way to protect ourselves. We're trying to defend ourselves against criticism. If we say our art is ugly and there's nothing good about it, then no one can hurt us. That's what we're thinking. But all you're doing in that moment is guaranteeing the pain. You're guaranteeing yourself that that hurt is going to come because you're giving it to yourself. What you want to do is say, hey, there are areas for me to improve, but here are some beautiful things. Here are some things that I like about it. And that appreciation will energize the practice and help you get back to your creative spark. I know that this is a hard pattern to break, but it is something that's possible. It's something that I had to do, and it took me so long because I had to design my own exercises to figure this stuff out. But if you want my help on this and you want to make faster progress, then check out the Joyful Creative that's linked below. We'll do intentional exercises to get through some of these issues so that we can return to our love for making things. And then we'll do coaching calls so that you can explore these challenges and talk about it and have a space where you can actually be open about the things that are coming up in a way that feels safe and easy. I know as a creative person, sometimes it's hard to admit that we don't feel the same love anymore. It's hard to admit to other people that like, hey, I'm struggling. Like, even though I think of myself as a creative person and I call myself an artist, I just don't feel that spark anymore. And there's like, a lot of times there's shame around that and makes it hard to talk to people about it. But in the coaching program, we'll do calls and we can talk about it. And that space is safer because I understand, because I was there way too long. I wasted most of my 20s being caught up in perfectionism. My inner critic was so loud. I was thinking very black or white. And I was trying to force my creativity to be a specific thing because I thought I had to be this specific box. Instead of allowing it just to flow naturally, I was trying to force myself, which is why I talk so much about this on this channel, because it really made me miserable and it disconnected me from the thing that matters the most to me. Like, it's so funny how these external expectations and wanting to impress other people and having all these expectations, all these external things can disconnect you from the thing that matters inside, the reason why you started to make art to begin with. So if you want my help, check out the Joyful Creative that's linked below. But also remember, you can do this on your own. It is possible. You deserve to make art. You deserve to be creative. So please make time for it. Do whatever it takes to get back to that energy because you deserve it.